Hey everybody, and brightest blessings. Lady Leeanna back with you once again for another edition of Wicca for today. And it is great to be back with you again. Today I have been wanting to talk to you about superstition and faith in the negative to bring bad happenings. Things along these lines. Also about a person's faith in the negative so much that when something does happen, then they're thinking that it's happened that way all of the time just because it always seems such, where when they sit back and think about it, the same thing has happened so many other times, but they didn't focus on it so much because they weren't in the middle of something, and so it wasn't apparent to them as it is whenever it's critical, Like, okay, for instance, whenever I push this record button on this camera, it is assured that that train is going to come through this little town, and he is going to lay on that horn like he has never done before in any other town. But it's got to be this one, and it has to be right when I hit that record button. It is just so assured. Now, I sit back and I evaluate it, and I think, okay, is this the way it really is? Is it that he only does this whenever I hit the record button? Or does he do this all the time? But it just doesn't bother me so much, or it doesn't come to my attention so bad, except for whenever I hit the record button, because it is naturally going to distress what I'm doing here on this film. It's going to cause a certain amount of interfering, with my filming, So, in all reality, chances are he comes through all the time. He's always laying on that horn, and my God, I wish that horn would break. I really do. Now, that's not a good wish, because they use that horn for a very specific reason, and I do not want to wish bad luck on that because it's in place for a particular purpose. But anyway, it is assured that he is going to lay on that horn, and it is going to distract me, and it's going to cause a problem with my videoing, or screech in you guys' ears if I don't stop it and restart afterward, But it comes to my attention whenever it's going to tend to be more irritating. Like, whenever I lay down to go to sleep, you can be assured he's going to come through this town, and he's going to start laying on that horn. By the way, I only live about 500 feet from the railroad track, and when you're talking about width of street or distance from house to a railroad track, that's not a very far distance, and it rattles the walls like you would not believe. So it is very distressful whenever I'm taping, or whenever I'm trying to sleep, or just trying to do my spell workings. But anyway, the guy that washes his car and cherishes it probably above his house or above his wife, as soon as he washes his car, it's going to start raining. And to further that, he's going to be going down the road that he lives down, and there's going to be a pothole because they may not service that road too well, and it's going to be filled with the muddy water, and it's going to slosh up on that cherished car that he just spent his good hard-earned money on cleaning and waxing. Okay, did it really happen just because he washed the car? No, but he's going to recognize it more because he did just wash his car, and it did just mess up what all he worked on, It's an irritation thing, and that's all it is. When you realize more at certain times than others. Now, what about whenever you get ready to wash your car and you start thinking, okay, I just know that as soon as I wash this car, it's going to start raining. Or I'm going to go by some parking lot when I'm going down the road where they're washing their parking lot and the water is going to splash up off the road and onto the side of the car. Or what if just before I start making this video, I start thinking, oh God, as soon as I push this record button, you know that train's going to come by. And you know, a lot of times it is going to happen just that way. Is it because of superstition? It's not just because you thought about it, is it? Well, it could be. It could be you sending out those energies into the universe. It's a form of magic, people. It really is. That which you send out is it's going to ripple in through the universe. It is going to make its way somewhere and maybe reach the right ears. And generally, it's not going to be the higher spirits, the good spirits that are going to turn this around on you. Usually, it would be your bad spirits. Maybe it's just you creating a new energy, an energy being a life force, giving birth to something which wasn't good and which really wasn't wanted, you know. But you created something by putting those thoughts out in the universe and giving a fair amount of energy into it, because you would be surprised how powerful the energy of sarcasm can really be. And yes, this is a form of sarcasm that I'm talking about. Oh, it's just going to rain as soon as I wash this car. How can that not be sarcasm? But it's a feeling that comes way down deep from inside of you. And you're going to give it a fair amount of your feeling when you put that out there. And that's going to turn around on you. So it's not really superstition in this case. It's more or less a creation of your own being. You know, it's something that you are giving birth to. And not in a good way. But that is one way that things happen. This is when you give thought to it beforehand and it comes about. But the idea of it coming about just because you clicked on this camera is actually ridiculous. I mean, in all reality it is, unless you thought about it somehow, form or fashion, whether subconsciously or consciously beforehand, and created that energy. Now, so isn't it safe to assume that typically whenever you acknowledge that things are happening just because you set out to do something, you know, isn't it safe to assume that that is just you paying attention to it more at this time because it would be the right time at which it would irritate you and your attention would be called to it? Now, superstition is the black cat running under the ladder and you feeling that it's going to create a bad energy for you and start making things happen. Or because you've spit in the fireplace 3 times, it's going to bring a love to you. Is that the same thing? No, it's not. One is onset of a magical spell, believe it or not. The spitting of the, in the fireplace 3 times to bring the passion of love to you through the element of fire. That's actually a spell work in the making. It's something you're setting about to doing. where the black cat running in front of you and creating the bad energy is a superstition. Whereas, by the way, if you give enough energy to it and thought thereafterward, you're making it a spell work to turn on you. You're making something to come about, and it's a curse that you're creating for yourself. And so basically, if you have that kind of a faith in superstitious legends, then you need to create counter acts that you would undertake thereafterward to rule out the magic that it would place on you, that you are actually placing on yourself, to tell you the truth. In all reality, it's better that you fix this by healing yourself of these superstitious beliefs. That's the first thing that you really need to do, and that is the ultimate thing that I suggest for you to do. However, just for the sake of the fact that those superstitious energies that you're creating within yourself are there, and it's going to bring the happenings because you believe it will, you do need to create counteractive measures that will send that into the earth and cleanse itself out away from anybody and make sure it doesn't touch anyone. Like in the oldest superstition of spilling the salt and it bringing bad luck, the counteractive measure there was dashing the salt shaker over your shoulder to counteract its negative happenings, to see that it wouldn't bring the bad that it's supposed to, you know. Well, this is the kind of counteractive measures that you would create for yourself if you're going to believe in these superstitions and you're going to fear them so much that you let them bring you the negative that it would. In that case, then you need to create a counteractive measure. Like, if you're afraid that the black cat crossing your pathway is going to create a bad happening for you, then you may need to go find yourself a white cat and pet it to bring about the good, you know. Or find a black cat and pet its fur in the backwards direction from ass to neck, you know. Basically, you need to find a counteractive measure to prevent these bad things from bearing fruit because you're giving them so much faith. And that's the best thing I could suggest for you in the short haul. Now, in the long haul, I suggest that you get over these superstitions and you don't let them have a power over you, because negative thought brings negative action. And you are definitely going to make these things happen for yourself if you keep giving them power. You cannot do that. And so my ultimate suggestion for you is get over it. Get past it. Cure yourself from these superstitious beliefs that will bring bad happenings upon you, because you don't need them. You don't want them, and you definitely need to find a way to cure yourself of it. That's just all there is to it. Okay? Now, like I said, the short haul, if you spill the salt, dash it over your shoulder, you know, to counteract that. But heal yourself of all of these superstitious beliefs so that you don't bring the heap onto yourself of negative energy. We all, within the magical world, if we've been studying for more than 10 years, we know that the world's largest ingredient, the most strongest and powerful ingredient that anybody would use within a spell is their own faith that this is going to happen. Okay? Well, what does that say about the faith that you're putting into anything else? Well, it says that if you put faith in anything, good or bad, then it's going to bear fruit at some point in time. And it may not be the first time, it may not be the second time, but it is going to get stronger and stronger. And if you have faith in superstitious onsets Okay? If you have faith in superstition that it's going to happen because all of these people have always said it's going to, or whatever, then it's going to build your faith. And people do become obsessive and compulsive toward this stuff. They do get worse and worse and worse, or sicker and sicker with it. It's and that is building it. You're building your own faith in this thing that it is going to bear fruit. And at some point, it's going to be so powerful that it has no choice but to bear fruit. You know, the butterfly effect. A butterfly flaps its wings. It may not be felt right then, but maybe 1,000 years from now it is going to be felt. It will have made a tsunami or whatever. You know, the fact of the matter is things have a tendency to grow. And, you know, you really have so many different problems within this world as it is. You don't need to be creating it for yourself. Okay, so first off, you need to set out to try to cure these fears within yourself. It's like having arachnophobia. You're so afraid of spiders. And because you see every spider in that room. And I'm talking about real ones and fake ones too, but really I'm focusing on the real ones here. You know, you see the real ones everywhere, but other people aren't noticing them. And you're going to be jumping out of your hide and making a fool out of yourself because nobody else knows what the hell you're jumping about. Although, you know, there is a real and valid spider there. More than anything, you know, the fact of the matter is a spider crawling on your skin, typically, it's not going to try to bite you for the most part, or maybe it will. But the biggest problem is that you sat there and you squirmed about, you know, the potentiality of a spider crawling on you for the past 20 years. I mean, and that is a lot more damaging than if that spider would have just went ahead and bit you 10 times over that 20 years, you know. I mean, really and truthfully, we tend to make mountains out of molehills. We tend to make things bigger than what they need to be, and definitely more than what we should want them to be. So basically, we need to get past our superstitions. We need to get past our fears. Some fears are healthy. Like, okay, if you're going to go out after dark, you might want to take something to protect yourself. Or if you are, you know, I don't know, if you are late on your bills, go ahead and pay the damn things. Because it will backlash on you if you keep putting it off and eventually do forget. You know, I mean, there are healthy fears, and then there are fears that are more damaging than that which you actually fear. And you've got to heal yourself of that. You've got to make sure that you are not letting that control or drive your life. That would just be totally worthless, and definitely not what we live for. You know, I like to live kind of free-hearted and light, not carry a lot of burdens on my shoulders. You know, if a bill crosses my mailbox, I'm going to worry about it for a moment. If I'm in bad debt or something at that moment, if I'm having trouble, I'll let that cross my mind, and it'll probably sit there for a few minutes, but then I'm on with playing my PS3 or my Xbox or something, you know, kicking back, chilling out, watching a show. In all reality, there are so many things upon this earth and through our days that we have to actually pay attention to, that actually is very important, that we should pay attention to. Like, we can look up at the sky and know with what we see that it is tornadic weather. or that it's pink in a certain direction, so we know rain will be coming in the next day or two. Maybe the horses and cattle in the next pasture over are running around wild, so we know weird or bad weather is coming because they have typically acted this way in the past and we've acknowledged it, you know. Or that cold weather is coming and we can acknowledge this because the ants are disappearing deeper into their ant beds. These are the kind of things that we should pay attention to. And we really don't, because we're so busy paying attention to the fact that that black cat just crossed our paths, and so it's going to bring us negative and bad energy, bad omens, and so forth. You know, we're paying attention to old wives' tales. Now, I could see it if a black cat crossed our pathway. I could see paying attention to that if it was because there was a wolf chasing it across the pathway, and maybe then we should have watched that cat and ran right along with it, maybe grab onto its tail so it could pull us along behind it. But I can't see us paying attention to that cat crossing our pathway just simply because we feel that it's going to bring bad news or bad luck. You know, I don't have a lot of faith in superstition, and it's probably good that I don't. If I did, I would probably be stirring up a world of bad energy for myself. And that I really don't need, because we have enough in our daily life, like I said earlier, going on and bringing the negative with it. What we need to do is strive for the positive and light. Let it be instead that if you're going to read anything into anything, let it be that you're going to lay on your back and look up at the white fluffy clouds and see a dollar sign, maybe, that states that you're going to have a fair amount of money coming your way. Or be it that you're going to see an angel or a face of somebody in the clouds, and it means that somebody you love is watching down upon you. These are the kind of things that I would put my faith into. If I'm going to read too much into anything, it's going to be the positive, you know, because believe me, brothers and sisters, this world has enough leaning upon us to bring and create the bad and the negative for us to do it ourselves. Create your surroundings and create your atmosphere and create your luck and shape it to be in a good direction. Alright? Well, this is Lady Leeanna with another edition of Wicca for today. And please, by all means, tell me your thoughts on these matters. Alright? Merry part.